Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining Allison and I tonight for our expert tips on how to control leaky bladder. So before we get started, I just want us to take a few minutes and get grounded into this space and connected to each other. So if you'll just close your eyes and take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just put aside anywhere where you were in your day to day and let anything that you need to do before you retire for the day just melt away so that we can just all be together here for these next few minutes so that your mind and your body are open to receive some new information. All right, thank you. So I'm Suzanne Bailey. I'm the founder of the Bladder Up program. And later I'll give you a little snippet about how this program came about. But if you want to find out the whole story, there's a recording on my YouTube channel and also in my Facebook group. I would like to introduce you to Allison Pfeiffer, who's a neurokinetic therapist, and she's going to tell you some surprising things that most women don't know about Kegel exercises. So welcome, Allison.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm really excited to be here. Hi, everybody. First of all, everybody who thinks about pelvic floor, one of the first things that comes to mind is Kegels. And everybody's told, oh, just do your Kegels. That's the only thing that you can do that fixes pelvic floor. But there's a problem with doing Kegels that most women don't understand. So the pelvic floor is a whole muscular system. It is not just one little muscle that closes off our urine flow. It actually is a system of muscles, and it can be divided into 4 quadrants. So we've got a front right, a front left, a back right, and a back left. So those 4 pieces, if you're going to think about a pie and you cut it in quarters, and if you pull those 4 pieces apart, but you don't push them back together evenly, you're going to end up with a space in the center of that pie that doesn't close off fully. That is more what happens with pelvic floor. If those muscles are out of balance and they can't come back together evenly, you're going to end up with a leaky bladder, and you're going to end up with muscles that are firing in imbalance. So what I do, I'm a neurokinetic therapist, and I look at muscle dysfunction in the body. I find out which muscles are overfiring, which are underfiring, and what relationships they're in. And then I work to clear out that imbalance. So if you think about somebody telling you to do a Kegel, and let's say the 4 quadrants of your pelvic floor cannot fire evenly. They can be out of balance. You can have the right side overfire against the left. It can be front versus back. It can be diagonal. There isn't one standard way that pelvic floor dysfunction really shows up, but muscle imbalances run in pairs. So typically, if you've got that pie and you're only able to push 2 of the 4 pieces back, you're going to have a leaky bladder problem. Or even, if the 2 sides are coming together, but they're coming together in an imbalance, that's basically why a Kegel is not going to happen. You can't fire all 4 evenly if you have a pelvic floor dysfunction. So the more you do a Kegel that can't properly close, the more you're overfiring one set of muscles, and an inhibited set of muscles is getting even more inhibited. So you end up with a bigger dysfunction just by continuing to try and do Kegels. So that's not the proper way to.
Is it bad?
The rail's here. How do you put your microscope?
Can we, Suzanne, do you have the ability to mute everybody?
No, I mute.
Yeah, one moment.
Okay.
I love you.
Can you poop?
I thought there was a
I don't know.
question.
You told
I
me
think
you
it's
didn't
just
poop
the
yet.
I know.
Maybe tonight, later.
Where's the button? Here we go.
Love you. Oh, love you, honey.
There we
Perfect. Okay. So Kegels themselves can't really fix the problem. We need to look at really where does that dysfunction come from. It's usually a muscle imbalance, and those muscle imbalances can start from a lot of different reasons. Some of them are actually physical trauma, and that physical trauma can be childbirth. It can be an episiotomy. The body likes to overfire scar tissue because it's much stronger sometimes than a muscle is. So you can even have a compensation pattern where a set of muscles are firing, but they're also locking down scar tissue, and then everything isn't moving in the same balanced pattern still. So we tend to think of trauma as some sort of something more violent or anything. It doesn't really have to be that. It can be everyday things such as childbirth and the things that a woman's body goes through naturally. So dysfunction comes about from a lot of different reasons. And the other piece of that puzzle is if you are all will just sit here for a second and try and do a gentle cough, go, you're going to feel one of the first things that moves actually is your pelvic floor. The pelvic floor and the diaphragm are a system. They work with each other. So when we, not to bring COVID into everything, but if you are sick and you have a lot of coughing, that's rapidly firing a diaphragm. That's going to put imbalance into a pelvic floor and a diaphragm system. And you can end up with pelvic floor dysfunctions or breathing difficulty as a result of that relationship. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But in the whole of this, the body is an energetic system. It's a closed energetic system. And when one piece of it's not working quite right and another one is overfiring, your energetic system is out of balance. So where I look at things from the physical and muscular standpoint, Suzanne treats things from an energetic standpoint, and she can look at the ways the body's energy systems are out of balance. And that's what makes our work so compatible together, because it's never one thing that's wrong in the body. When the body senses a perceived threat, like an imbalance muscularly, it's going to react energetically as well and invent that into the system of the body as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to Suzanne and let her talk about how she works her energy work on the pelvic floor and other systems of the body as well.
Thank you, Allison. When I first learned this, I was fascinated to learn that there's so much information out there that tells us to do these exercises and we'll be fine. And we're actually hurting ourselves and we don't even know it. So appreciate you sharing that. So what I wanted to share with you tonight is the number one most favorite practice. I call them uplifts in my Bladder Up program. So the Bladder Up program is a 21-day program that helps women stop their leaky bladder syndrome. So I have gotten great success with a variety of women, from a little bit of pee a couple times a day to actually one woman that had had 2 surgeries. And I've really gotten good reviews about the program. Everything that you learn in the program can also help you in other areas of your life as well. Once you use these different tools and techniques, which are not Kegels and there are no products, then you'll be amazed that you have a lot more control over your body than we are taught to believe that we have. So the number one tool that I have that I teach my ladies is called the pee pause. And let me tell you quickly the story about how this came about. I was in a very stressful job working with a very demanding account executive. And it didn't matter if I had somebody in my office or if I was on the phone, or if I had to go to the bathroom. If he needed something, I was supposed to be front and center and give him all my attention. And I would often, because I drink a lot of water at work, say, I have to go to the bathroom, I'll be right back. And he would literally follow me to the bathroom, stand outside the door, wait for me to be done, and then get back into engaging whatever he needed from me when I got back out. And it was pretty stressful. So I got to the point that I needed to gather my thoughts or think about what I was doing or how I was going to respond to him while I was in there. So I started using that time to just pause, to be present to myself, to think about how am I going to handle this situation. And then it sort of just became this coping mechanism that I created for myself about how to deal with this certain individual. And so every time I went to the bathroom, I just would consciously pause, take a breath, and be with myself. So fast forward years later, when my client introduced me to this problem that a lot of women have, including myself, and I started to listen to Spirit to pull together the different pieces of this program. The PPAWS, which had, was 10 years ago that I just created that self-soothing mechanism, if you will, became my number one favorite tool. So one of my clients that's finished the program, she actually said now she pees with a purpose. So let me ask you the question of what are you doing when you go to the bathroom? Are you on your phone? Are you thinking about a phone call you just had? Are you texting? Are you on Facebook? Are you thinking about the next thing that you have to do, right? So that's why she said it's pee with a purpose. And if you just try this one tip, not only will it change what happens in your bladder, but it changes the stress level that you have throughout the day. So if you think about how many times you go pee throughout the day, if you take those couple of minutes that you're in the bathroom and you use them as a moment to pause, get grounded, get centered, check in with yourself, see how your day is going, it can just make a really huge difference. So that's the 2 tips that we wanted to share with you tonight. If you would like to get on my calendar to book a consult and you're on the call with us live, then the link to do that is in the chat, as well as the link to sign up for the program. And also there's a link to Allison's website if you would like to speak with her further about working with the body piece of it. And if you're watching this as a recording, then there will be in the comments below that same information that you can access. And stay tuned for another video coming soon that we're going to do together about actually how to properly empty your bladder. So pee physical therapy, if you will. So thank you all for joining. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, thank you, ladies. I look forward to answering any questions that you may have. And hopefully we will see you in the next Bladder Up program. And if not, then happy pee pausing.
One thing I was waiting to see if anybody had questions, but I would love to recommend all the work that Suzanne does. She has been instrumental in helping me beyond her program for Bladder Up. She does amazing energy work. She helps you clear mindset blocks that you have about moving forward. She helps you break down some subconscious programming that we all create through life from our own experiences. And sometimes those get in the way of helping us move forward. So beyond this program, she's a powerful energy worker, and she really does help you kind of co-create a better way to move forward in your life and to get out of your own way. And she's very empowering in that. So I highly recommend Suzanne.
Oh, well, thank you, Allison. Obviously, I also use Allison as my neurokinetic therapist, being a very active athlete. I find myself in muscle imbalance all the time, and she helps me like tweak my way through that. So we have some clients that we share together, and we make a really good team. So she addresses what's manifested in the body that's kind of already stuck there and can't move, and then I help work with the energy in the mind to unravel things that are in the way of us living our optimal life of health and wholeness. So thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.